Hello everyone, in this video we're gonna talk about master materials and material instance. And those are more like approaches to create materials and make your life easier rather than some programming or anything like that. As you can see here, we have our material. And what are master materials and material instance? Well, master materials and material instance, it's a relation between one material that actually is a template. It's like a blueprint for create a material, and then we create several instances of this same blueprint. It's more like to have a plan, a blueprint of a house, and with this blueprint you can create several houses following this blueprint. And how can we do that in materials and why that's important? Well, if you go here, of course this material is very simple yet, but you're going to start adding more and more properties to this material. But several materials, they are very similar to each other. So if I go here, and here we have this mossy ground, but if I create a wood or a stone material, probably they're going to have the same properties, the same textures, and the same things inside of the material. So instead of create exactly the same nodes over and over again to create some materials, I can just create one material with all the blueprints, and then I'm going to create instance of these materials and create several materials from just one material. And it seems like magic, right? And it's kind of it is, and can save you a lot of time and make your life easier. And to do that, it's quite simple inside of Unreal. If I go here and right click in my material, we're going to have this option, create material instance. So we're going to go here and type MI for material instance, and then I'm going to first material, and then I'm going to open. When I open, I don't have anything here that I can change, but you can see that it's the same material that we are seeing here in our material graph, right? Because it's an instance, so right now they are the same. And how can I make this material instance be a properly instance and make our life easier? Well, we need to start changing some of these properties here. And one thing that we need to do in order to that work, and it's create parameters instead of constants. And what I mean by that? Well, if I go here in my texture sample and right click, you're gonna have this option, convert to parameter. So I'm gonna go and convert this one to parameter. And I'm gonna call this one base call. For now, I think it's a very self-explanatory name. And then I'm gonna go here and I'm gonna hit apply. When I transform this texture sample in a parameter, if I go here in my material instance, right now we're gonna have this part over here, global texture parameter values. And you can see that now we have this instance. And then I can check this instance, and I can change to wherever texture I want this base color. So if I go now and maybe I'm gonna search for that bark something, spruce bark, the other text that I was using before, and check. Now this material became this bark instead of the mossy ground. Of course, nothing has changed here because we are using the original material, not using the instance. But if I go here and drag my instance and drop in the material, you can see now that these materials look weird because we're still using the two other textures from the other material, but you can see that now it's a completely different material from this instance. And here in our material graph, you can pretty much make anything that we want a parameter. And every time that we create a parameter, this parameter is going to be here in our material instance. And now we're going to have exercise to you. So I want you to go in your material and make these two textures, parameters, and also these two values. So we're going to need to rename them and create a parameter. So if you want to create a parameter here, you can go and convert to parameter, and the same thing here in the texture sample. So do that in your material, and then I'm going to do that in my material as well. Okay, so let's do that. So here I'm gonna go and convert to parameter. This one is gonna be the roughness. I'm gonna do the same thing here. Convert to parameter, gonna be the normal. And then this one gonna be the rotation. And then this one gonna be the tiling size. Then I'm gonna go here and hit apply. And I'm gonna save everything just in case. And now I'm gonna go and make my first material here, and let's go to our environment. And as you can see here, now that I create these parameters, you have more options here in my material instance. So I can go and enable the normal and the roughness and search for the texture. It's spruce something. So this one is the normal. This one is the roughness. And now our material looks good. And also we have the scalar parameters, the rotation, the tiling size that I create as well. So now if I want, I can go and start playing with the tiling size. And you can see that doing this in this way, it's much faster than go here, change the material, and then go and hit apply, and then go back to our environment. We can do that pretty much in real time. And that can save you a lot of time just doing that, because now we don't need to go and compile all your shader to see something change. So that can save you a lot of time, especially when you start creating more and more functionalities inside of this material. You're gonna see that this material gonna be very big later on. And when you start to adding too many nodes, we're gonna have more time compiling your shader, and that's gonna make this process even slower. But when you are using a material instance, this process is much faster. And other thing that is much faster is now create another material. So I can go here and I can go and create another material instance, and then this one gonna be our mossy ground, for instance. So then I can open this mossy ground. So now I can go here and use the mossy ground here in my cube, and maybe use this bark something in our sphere. So here now I can go and open my mossy ground directly in the material instance. And I can go and manipulate all these values. So we're gonna enable the normal, the roughness, and so on. But I can go and set this rotation to 0 again, and then start playing with the size. Maybe I want a bigger size, 0.2, and that's much faster than the other way. So we're gonna use a lot material instance throughout the course, guys. So it's essential to use material instance in Master Materials to make your life easier. There is no reason to not use them to make your workflow creating materials better. So okay guys, do that in your materials, more material instance to test it out. And in the next video, I'm gonna show you another concept that's very important, which is material function. So we're gonna grab all this information that we have here with our texture coordinate and so on, and we're gonna move this to a material function, and also gonna add more functionalities inside of this material function. So see you in the next video.